Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's watch party of Beetlejuice. As always, I'm Andrew, and I'm joined by, which way is it? Other way. There we go. Dom. Welcome, Dom.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so we're going to be watching Beetlejuice. Everybody, today's sync point will be where it says a Geffen company release, or Geffen, it's Geffen. And okay, we're going to do a roll call, and I think we need people. I need to be careful. People are going to summon Beetlejuice, so be careful. So we'll start off with our roll call. We've got Horror Fan over on YouTube, Soul Search and Destroy, Hell if I Know, Mad Matt 42, welcome. And then when we go over to the Discord with the cool gang over there, let's see who we've got. We've got Calbot, Edward the Black Prince, Mr. Furzel, Leanne, Sharon, Lizardman. Keep going down my list. Mad Matt's there as well. Chaosphere. David Mice, welcome. Phonic. And then Eric. Leanne, I think we said that. James Hellier, welcome. Brainwire. And Camos. I think everyone's here. So, Dom. That's what everyone gets queued up. I saw this as a kid. I think it was on TV on the usual, sort of broadcasty run of films, and I loved it. I absolutely loved this. What about you? I mean, you're younger in this film. When did you first see it?
Likewise, as a kid, I have always lumped this together in my brain's like jumbled mess with The Mask, and I think it's because both this and The Mask are not as child-friendly as you'd think, but they both had cartoons that were incredibly child-friendly.
Yes, exactly. Also, I can see Jesse Flores has joined us over on YouTube. Welcome. It's one of your favourite films. It's one of ours too. So, I'm going to start the film a little differently today. So, everybody, on the third, press play. Beetlejuice.
This, I was telling you before we started this, that this is a film that has followed me around the world a lot. Whenever my wife and I go on vacation, when we're in the hotel, turn on the TV just to get some white noise in as like we're unpacking or something, I always find this film. Without a shadow of a doubt, this film is going to be on one of the channels in the hotel that I'm staying at. It's insane.
Oh, and we're hearing some great stuff here. We've got Hannah Rose Artist. Welcome, Hannah. I haven't seen you for a little while. 90s kid here. My first intro to this was the cartoon, which was totally awesome. Saw the movie in my teens. Loved it too. The opening sequences of both are the best. What I love about this is kind of peak Tim Burton and Elfman.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've got a perfect Danny Elfman score with Tim Burton. It's kind of the two of them absolutely. And Michael Keaton here as Beetlejuice, who was, as we said, Michael Keaton was Johnny Depp before Johnny Depp was Johnny Depp. Or he was Helena Bonham Carter before Helena Bonham Carter was Helena Bonham Carter. He was.
The thing is, the three of them together, like Keaton, Danny Elfman, and Tim Burton. Again, in my head, I keep thinking that Batman is before this film because this feels like them being able to let loose and go like balls to the wall crazy. Whereas Batman, it's more you exist in this universe, so you have to work within these parameters.
Yeah.
And here's what's outside of those parameters. The creativity of everything, the sets, the music, the performances.
Yeah.
It's so nutty and so infectiously like Halloween-y, even though it's not a Halloween film.
Yeah, it feels like a Halloween kind of film, doesn't it?
Everything that Tim Burton touches kind of feels like a Halloween film. And this elaborate little set, how it just pans up
his
to it.
Model of the town, yeah. Here we go. We're just coming up to 2 minutes and 50 seconds on Z.
I love this attic as well. Like I want to live in this town, damn it. It's so quaint.
What I would say is, though, and it's just going to aesthetically, this movie is very similar to Witches of Eastwick from the year before.
Oh yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about on-screen chemistry between actors.
They do have a great chemistry.
They have a loving chemistry. It's so pleasant.
Oh, they do, even if she does dress like a 1950s housewife.
Yeah. Yeah, costume design is odd.
It is a nice house, I guess, but it's not. It does strike me very much as yuppies want to play country folk.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But the set that I think it's a set anyway for that section of the house. Seeing that shot, panning, watching the characters run down the stairs and then run out into their various places. Yeah. Someone hiding, someone going to creep. Jane.
I do have to chastise them though, that some human monster has left the Minute Maid out on an open carton of Minute Maid out on the counter and not in the fridge.
Monster.
And when orange juice out of carton starts to get warm, my God, it goes sort of thick and like, yeah.
Got me thinking of warm orange juice now. Thanks for that.
He does have an eclectic taste in music.
He does, yeah. I wonder who picked the music for him.
Oh, don't get me wrong, it's really cool music and it works great, but it just seems Harry Belafonte seems a very well. Actually, I don't know because I looked and there was a Harry Belafonte compilation album released kind of in recent
last
years.
Year.
No, but it was by Reader's Digest, and these strike me as Reader's Digest readers.
Oh, for sure.
The yellow Volvo. They strike me as the kind of people, they've got a subscription to Reader's Digest.
House flippers.
Yes, I agree with Soul Search and Destroy, though. I think the unconventional choice of music complements the film pretty well, pushes forward the comedy absurdity and subversiveness of it all, rather than being too serious. It's very similar to what James Gunn does with his productions, where he puts in very eclectic music, which works great.
Yeah. Small town where everyone knows your name.
Yeah, and your business.
Mm-hmm. As proven there.
Yeah. Welcome, Brandon M. We're just coming up to 7 minutes on the button. Okay, that's a... And a couple of firemen very half-heartedly washing the fire engine.
Yeah, where's their Dalmatian?
Yeah, exactly. That's cool, Jesse. It is great that this film introduced you to the Harry Belafonte music. It is great stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I just like, it's just, for a character choice, it's a very peculiar choice. Oh no.
The dog teetering on the wooden plank as well.
Now this is where I have trouble believing something like suspension of disbelief in this film, that you would die in a Volvo of that era, because they were like tanks. No one ever died in a Volvo of that era of unnatural causes.
Nothing's worse than walking in wet shoes.
Yeah. But speaking of what I have got for my, as we all know, I'm not here for the next 3 weeks, so Dom will be looking after you. I'm going to be on vacation. My ninja shoes arrived for the water parks yesterday. I call them ninja shoes. Basically, they're like these special shoes you can wear. They look like they're like lycra shoes with a rubber sole, but you can wear them in pools and things. And they drain immediately. Very cool. It makes me like a
water
ninja.
resistant things.
Yeah. Well, Sharon, it's not really 3 weeks. It's because I'm at the airport on Sunday night next week, so I won't be able to do the watch party. And then I'm away for 2 and a bit weeks at Disney World again.
I've always loved.
Is the afterlife the planet of Arrakis? Yeah, with these
apparently, yeah.
Desert planet Arrakis.
Yeah, Hannah Rose says, sandworms. You know I hate them. James Huddy says, Andrew's on holiday, Dom's in charge, so it's 3 weeks of extra waiting for us.
You betcha. There's so many extra movies I can show you.
Jesse on Facebook is saying, I never understood how they died, as it's not far of a drop nor into an ocean, just a river. They should be able to get out. Well, strangely enough, welcome Neil Whaley saying about the, I just realized the handbook for the recently deceased must be published in every language at every reading level, or do the dead all speak the same language effectively? But as I was saying, there's a very interesting thing about watching about how little water, once your car is submerged in water, basically, if there's air inside the car, it's almost, or atmosphere inside the car, it's basically impossible to open the door. It's why you should keep what they call a life hammer in the car to break the window to get out. Exactly, Mr. Furzel's got it. It does not take much water pressure to make a car door impossible to open too. So yeah, have a look after this. Have a look on. There's a really interesting episode of Mythbusters. You'll find clips of on YouTube. It explains about how difficult it is to open a car door underwater. That's a really good point, Onzi. Everyone who died in this movie is shown in a state of death. So why aren't this couple always wet as ghosts?
Budgetary restraints. Making a wet set would be an absolute pain in the ass. I love Michael Keaton's voice for Beetlejuice. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that when I become a horrible spook inspector and haunt everyone, that I'll be just as evil and show everyone versions of Extro, even in the afterlife.
And the other thing, Dom, of course, that we discussed before the watch party, while I'm having a drink during the watch party this week, I'm going to have to apologise as I've recently moved house. I'm actually in another office today. I know it looks exactly the same, but it isn't. I've got a very large cup because I'm very thirsty. I don't know if you can quite see, it's my Bubba cup, which I usually take to Mexico with me. It's the size of my head, basically. When I drink, I look like this.
Takes a sip and he looks like he's drinking from a prop from the film.
Yes. I look like I'm drinking from a thimble in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Ah, yes.
That's a good point, Brandon M. In heaven, there wouldn't be dust on everything.
Oh, I accidentally guessed some trivia. According to Mad Matt, this was addressed by Tim Burton and it was all to do with the budgetary constraints.
Oh, there we go then.
Don Wallace accidentally guessing the truth.
It's very interesting looking, a very interesting looking place, because it looks quite kind of nice, yet cold, yet warm. It's a weird, the atmosphere,
Yeah.
It's a real...
It's the same kind of feeling. That's amazing. That's great. But it's the same kind of feeling I get from a movie not directed by Tim Burton, but produced by A Nightmare Before Christmas. Everything feels wet and dry at the same time, cold yet warm, Christmassy yet Halloweeny.
So there was something I just noticed on the mantelpiece there in the bedroom, and I don't know if it was a photo of her when she was young, but there's only one photo of a photo of one baby there next to her wedding photos. Is it that there's a deleted subplot of the film where they've lost a child?
Mm.
It could be, like I say, it could be her it could be the wife
As a
of the
child.
But it seems very strange that there's no photo of the husband there as a child and just one black and white photo of a single baby.
Would you carry childhood pictures of yourself to your bed?
Not really. That's the thing. You don't. No, not next to the wedding photos and things.
No.
And here we see now Winona Ryder. This is some of her early stuff. What a great actress. She's
young Winona.
She was here and then matured into.
Oh, for anyone who's seen Schitt's Creek, can you differentiate the roles these days? Because I cannot. I was telling Andrew, Home Alone is not ruined but changed for me forever.
Stay tuned. That's a great movie. I love Stay Tuned.
Wish I could pull off bright red shoes like that.
Yeah, Otho, the interior designer. He's a he's like a spiritual consultant, isn't he? An interior designer and all that kind of thing. My father, the company he used to work at before he retired, one of the women in the office had a spiritual consultant, which was basically a man who told her lots of nonsense and took lots of money off her for not much in return.
Yeah, how do I get that job? Just, oh, your lucky color this year is green. The spirits have told me. So, I'm just noticing all of the squeaking of the wood as well. I'm imagining someone in the sound department just creaking lots of wood.
So, just brilliant.
I love it.
So we must have to assume that neither of them had any family.
Yeah, because no one's
collected their possessions.
No. Analyst. And again, the props, the special effects that are there for a moment, a split second.
I love Catherine O'Hara. Ah, right. That's interesting, Hannah. She's saying I read somewhere that it was implied that Barb and Adam recently had suffered a miscarriage prior to their deaths, which makes their circumstances sadder until they adopt Lydia. Now, this is a movie that does, I don't know if it's a curse of the 80s, if we'd call it that. It's a movie that became popular enough to have a very popular kids' cartoon show, which was quite good, but it's really not an appropriate, especially because Beetlejuice is such a different character in the cartoon show. But is it appropriate to keep making kids' shows
based on adult properties, like the Starship Troopers TV show I also watched as a kid?
You do know there was basically half a pilot made for an Aliens cartoon show.
Yes, Kenner did it, I believe.
Yes, an Aliens cartoon show where one of the squad of Marines, his trick was he could impersonate aliens.
I'd watch that show. It wouldn't be good, but I'd watch.
Oh, I just noticed there's a copy of It on his shelf by Stephen King.
There you go. Good book. Weird book.
That's interesting. That's interesting though, Hannah. That you're saying no worse to adapt for kids than Rambo or RoboCop. Again, they're very weird.
Cartoons, video games.
That's true, Sharon. Is it any weirder than a baby onesie with Freddy Krueger on it, or the fact there were kids' Freddy Krueger costumes sold in the 80s?
Well, I think they're still being sold. I saw Freddy Krueger merchandise for my dog last night when I went shopping for my dog. We were going to get him a Beetlejuice onesie. We got him a cowboy hat instead. He looks very adorable in a cowboy hat.
Now, James Haley's asking, when is the It miniseries getting a watch party or two? It will at some point. The schedule's pretty full for this year, but it'll certainly probably early next year. Exactly. Neil Whaley saying the Beetlejuice in the cartoon had a heart of gold, only similar to the movie version in appearance. Exactly.
There we go. We've got a sandworm size chart.
But that does actually point out a movie we have to do a watch party on. Tremors. Yes.
Set in my lovely home of Nevada. A dark room in the basement. I would love to have a dark room in the basement.
Now, Dom, as a fellow Brit, what did you think the first time you saw a Chinese takeout box like that?
The paper box? Yeah, I thought it was amazing because, hey, it's like that thing from all the movies.
Yeah, and TV shows. We don't get them here in 99.9% of places. We get like a little foil tray or a plastic tub with a lid.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't know how good you've got it here in America.
You don't know how good you got it with those awesome takeout containers.
Yeah. We're impressed by simple things in the UK.
We are.
Also, I do hate to say it, but I absolutely adore the design of this house, this new house that they're building from scratch by the look of it. I love the very crazy yet gothic design.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is another reason why I keep mentally thinking this is a 90s film. because
I don't know, it's late. It
80s.
is late 80s, and it's not.
And the aesthetic bled over. But these
Hannah,
like marble statues, these green and black marble beetle guys.
just saying here. So Hannah Rose is saying certain foods and goods that we in the US find so cool in the UK. Grass is always green on someone else's lawn. It's not even the food; it's just the cool packaging, basically.
Yeah, it's just the pack, because we're so indoctrinated to believe Chinese food belongs in these containers when they're takeout.
Yes. You know what's absolutely insane, right? We're seeing her crazy, the mother's crazy out there at the time fashion sense with the interior decorating, like the wavy chests of drawers, and I've seen them now, even just in stores.
Yeah, in IKEA. Morning tea. This is my art, and it is dangerous. For David's next film, he should put that as the quote on the...
Oh, Chaos Sphere. Feng Shui just assisting the flow of the chi. Yeah, there's a Penn Teller episode of their famous show, Bull, the word I'm not going to say, with Feng Shui, and they bring in a load of Feng Shui consultants to all arrange a room to optimize it for the same thing, and it's all different.
Yeah. Oh, have we? We've had a massive eruption at the Beetlejuice star.
Wow.
Look at us.
I've got to admit, though, the changes they're making to the house downstairs, I actually prefer. I prefer.
Yeah. This commercial, did you ever see the board game? Oh God, with a VHS tape horror game. What was it called? Atmosphere.
I know the one you mean.
I distinctly mistake that commercial, Beetlejuice's commercial, as the commercial for Atmosphere, or I thought it was on the Atmosphere VHS because my parents played it a lot as a kid.
Onzi is saying today, Calbot's saying that wallpaper, agrees with me, the wallpaper is hideous. And Onzi's saying that today it would be IKEA furnished.
Yep.
Onzi, do not ask me, I've been house this weekend, do not ask me how many Kallax units I have moved around. Everyone has Kallaxes everywhere.
There it is, David, yeah. Atmosphere, the DVD board game. Oh, I had the VHS one ages ago. I think it was called something else in the States.
Great score, though. Absolutely awesome.
Phenomenal.
Score.
The two of them could barely fend off a teenager.
Yeah.
A relatively small teenager as well. Beetlejuice consulted Saul Goodman on his commercial ideas.
Neil Whaley saying, I think the Maitlands should have haunted the realtor and scared her out of town. That's not a bad idea. And horror fans, I was talking about the Chinese takeout boxes, saying styrofoam mostly. Still get boxes for rice, depends on what size, the order, and what item is got in boxes. Make me think of the Lost Boys. Yeah.
Lost Boys, yeah, for sure.
Oh, I love the Lost Boys. That was a tremendous watch party. That was a tremendous fun watch party last year. That might be one we will do again at some point because it's just such a great movie.
I certainly hope so.
You guys don't mind if we revisit a movie or two occasionally, do you? I'm not saying J.K. Rowling lifted anything from Beetlejuice, but you know.
It was making me think of the Dark Tower more than anything.
Yeah.
Such beautiful lighting as well.
Oh, that's
Nightmare!
very cool. Matt owns a copy of Nightmare. I remember that.
That is Atmosphere. It was called Nightmare in the UK, I think.
No, I think it was Atmosphere in the UK.
And Nightmare in the States.
I think it was the other way around, yeah.
But yeah, that's the game. That's the one I'm talking about. That's Baron Samedi, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, we may do the occasional rewatch. Now then, speaking of old games we used to play as kids, I don't know if I said this or not. Can anyone, I don't know if only British people know, but there used to be a game for kids called Crossbows and Catapults. And basically you build a wall, and one side would have a crossbow and one side have catapults. And the idea is you take turns and basically you'd fire things at each other, and the idea is to knock each other's walls down. The catapults and crossbows were basically powered by elastic bands.
Yeah.
I remember at my friend's house.
Oh no.
We spoke to the friendly postman who had a lot of elastic bands, just because they had, from his envelopes, he'd have mountains of elastic bands. Excuse me, sir, could we have some elastic bands, please? Here you go, gave us a handful of them. We supercharged one of the catapults so much. Basically, when it fired the little thing designed to knock the wall over, it shot past the wall and hit his mother's glass pane door, which would have been cracking it. We weren't very popular.
Oh no. Also, this is probably one of the most iconic scenes in
it really
cinema.
Is.
It's incredible how they can show such mundaneness, yet absurdity, yet joy and depression all in one scene.
So I'm going to give you a very interesting story, just from a Star Trek story, actually, that I heard that basically the woman in the green makeup is reminding me of. When they were filming the original Star Trek, they had Andorian slave girls in it who are very similarly painted in green paint. And they had a problem. They were shooting the footage of this actress, and no matter how it turned out, when the film came back after shooting, she was a normal skin color.
Mm.
And they kept doing it and kept doing it. And the makeup guy was basically, they were saying, we've got to make her green, got to make her greener, got to make her greener every time, because it wasn't coming up green enough on camera. It transpired after several times that the film processing lab thought there was a fault with the camera, so we're adjusting the exposure to restore her to a flesh tone.
That's great. That's perfect miscommunication.
Yes.
But yeah, it does certainly feel like a more entertaining DMV, doesn't it?
Or horror fans saying, revisit's cool, make this a Sunday thing. I only did Creepshow watch party. I'm committing to being at these watch parties. I only tune on sci-fi. We do sci-fi, we do some fantasy, we do horror, we do a bit of a mixture. There's crossover between all of them. Yeah, that's right, Hannah. That's what I was reading up on. I was reading up about Beetlejuice. Oh, this is such a great Tell you what, I've got a personal story about smoking. Not that I smoke myself, but I'm going to relay something to you that reminds me of what's quite relevant to me at the moment. You can see that guy's a heavy smoker and he's wrecked his body. The house we've moved into, the people who previously lived here were heavy smokers. So the reason it's taken me quite a while to move over to this house is we've been having to clean the house to get it so it doesn't smell of cigarettes. And we can paint it and get colours on the walls and get it all nice. We've done it now, but we at one point were steaming the walls as well as painting them in stain block. When we were steaming the walls and the ceilings to get the cigarette smoke off them, we had like an orangey brown sticky tar liquid running down the walls. We were having to wipe up as we were steaming them. So that just makes me think, what are people putting in their bodies?
Oh yeah, horrific stuff.
Again, though, sorry, going back to the movie where we should be, of course. The vibes of this is very similar to Monsters Inc.
It is, yeah, bureaucratic.
That kind of weird sort of administrative centre. But Hannah Rose is making a good point. This is something I read about Beetlejuice, which is apparently people who commit suicide end up becoming social workers in the afterlife in this universe. My theory is that death automatically creates paperwork. Therefore, suicides create their own paperwork and forced to work in the DMV as a result. Tragic, but it makes for an excellent anti-suicide PSA.
I also like how this and Monsters Inc., the bureaucracy there makes sense.
Yeah.
And actual bureaucracy, more often than not, does not. Oh man, yeah,
Horror
that
fan.
Halloween decoration, Mad Matt, looks like the Tar Man from Return of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm. Horror fan says he's a heavy smoker, he's going to quit. Good luck. We support you in that, yeah. Best thing you'll do.
It's incredibly difficult, but it's worth every ounce of effort.
Yeah.
You'll feel better as well.
I quite like the fact as well, there's quite this weird time dilation effect going on, because it often it jumps quite a lot.
Time is very fluid in this, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, Hannah Rose. What is Juno's story with her death, considering she's a high-ranking social worker? I don't know. Did she slit her own throat?
Who knows? I really like that living room. I guess I'm a New York yuppie or something, but
yeah.
It's spooky. I want to be there.
That could be Edward with the smoking, maybe cancer, maybe it's a symbolism of she had like throat cancer and that's from her operation, and it's classified as a suicide in this universe because it's a self-inflicted death. It's deep, Edward, very deep, but very good.
I would desperately try and like talk out my reasoning to not be a bureaucrat in that situation. I'd be like, it's not my fault. I was told it was good for me. The doctors told me it was good.
So I read, we've got some wonderful visual effects here.
Phenomenal.
That is really nicely done. Apparently Beetlejuice committed suicide in the 1800s.
I love the lighting, the subtle change to draw you in like a campfire story.
Well, horror fan, you start quitting smoking, dude, and every week we'll check in with you. You come on the watch party, say how you're doing, we're going to support you. The whole community is behind you. I can see Soul Search and Destroy saying you can do it. You can do it. Now, again, calling his name 3 times. Was Candyman before this?
No, Candyman was the 90s. Then again, the story was...
No, I mean the story of Candyman. Yeah, that's the thing, Mr. Faisley. He's saying he's been dead 400 years, but you don't know how much of Beetlejuice is the truth and lies from the stuff he's saying, how much is bragging or not. But I was doing some research on the internet earlier, and obviously everything you read on the internet is accurate, obviously. But there were some sort of stuff I read where they said it was sort
on
of
Wikipedia, the
yes.
most resourceful
about 1830s. He committed suicide.
Oh, the music, it's so fun.
Yeah.
And the ridiculousness of that Zagnut bar as well. Like, it's not big enough for any person.
No. Thank you, James. You're right. You're right. I remember now from the film Urban Legend. Bloody, yeah. And there's
Bloody
also
Mary.
said Bloody Mary, yeah. I kind of erased the film Urban Legend from my memory.
It's not that bad.
And now we're seeing the legend that is Robert Goulet. He can croon.
Absolute legend.
I liked. Who can tell me a cameo with Robert Goulet in another film released the same year as this? That's one of the funniest films of all time, and is possibly a fantasy horror, and a film I'd love to do a watch party on.
I'm struggling to think of that because my brain's all over the place at the moment with Candyman and Urban Legend, and I'm grasping at so many straws and I can't pick the right one.
Anyone. That's it. Mr. Fursel got it. They show a promo for a Robert. There you go. Robert Goulet's old-fashioned Cajun Christmas.
Death Shrouds.
Oh. That's right, James Helly got it as well, Scrooged.
If she's imagining that's the noise of coitus, I'm concerned. Very concerned. Okay, have you ever been in that moment where you know you should wake up because there's something happening? Like, I don't know, your dog's bothering you for attention and you just ignore it and hope your partner wakes up instead?
James Helly is saying, would we do Scrooge as a Christmas watch party? I'd like to, however, not this Christmas because the Christmas lineup has already been finalised. But maybe next Christmas.
Maybe she has a makeup that can be easily washed out of the sheets.
I like to imagine that if Lydia was around in the world with us today, she'd be
exactly the same.
She'd be watching a watch party with us.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of us were Lydias back in the day?
I wasn't a teenage girl for long.
For long, yeah. A short stint. Yeah.
I do recall, though, when this movie came out, a lot of the girls I was in school with, there were a lot of emo type girls. Yeah. I can't. It wouldn't be fair to the identity. But there's a girl in my class I've got a photo of from school photo, and she was very much the Lydia. Sort of looked like she had two black eyes, with so much dark makeup on, white skin, dark hair. Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was the Lydia of the class.
This and the Addams Family really are to blame for my attraction to the macabre inspired fairer sex.
Yeah,
I'm weak in the knees for a.
Well, Lizardman's saying it wasn't a Lydia, but I started feeling like her in high school and hated every single one of my teenage peers. Yeah, but that's the thing. Yeah, Neil, you're exactly right. Over on YouTube, Lydia was a goth a few years before it went mainstream and effectively ruined it.
That's one of the beauties of this community. A lot of us are outcasted, strange and unusual.
Exactly.
And we found our tribe.
What is that robot machine that's
just digging up dirt and pumping it out the back as well?
Yes, Frag Lord. He's saying Adam's family values. We were talking about that only before this watch party. I have discussed with Dom literally just before we joined this watch party, and we are having I've been looking what to schedule for our first watch party of 2023. I've actually got my diary of them open. Give me a look what the date will be. That will be Sunday, January 1st, which is 2023. I'm scheduling it in now.
Hannah Rose Artist, if I have my say, yes.
The Addams Family will be the first watch party of 2023. You're welcome.
There we go. It's happening. Such a simple transition as well. That one there where they say it and they go into the model. And it's simple little editing like that. Very easy to do as well. You just go to the back, cut, film a new shot. But little things like that add so much energy to a film, especially with this soundtrack just punching you with different vibes every couple of seconds.
I just love the aesthetic of this scene. Basically, they're in his little model and having to dig up rubber and cardboard.
Yeah. Can you imagine being the set dresser for this? No, make it look faker. Make this set look more fake.
But it must have been quite either difficult or costly, because they would have had to have had the manufacture effectively giant
versions of miniatures.
Of miniatures, yeah.
So what you're saying is you want life-size props? No, we want miniatures.
That might be a continuity goof there. Look how correct size that writing of fragile would be on cardboard. We'll allow it.
Again, budgetary stuff.
Yes, budgetary stuff.
Here's the man.
There's even, I don't know. I mean, Michael Keaton, as you know, is really, really good. But do you ever get the feeling that maybe Robin Williams was considered when they wrote this?
Right? It feels like a dark Robin
Williams. Yeah. The very kind of madcap fragile, almost improvising stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, Keaton's brilliant, but it does feel very Robin Williams.
It would have been too much of a comedy, I think, if Robin Williams was there in the role. It does have a Mork vibe, like, for sure.
Yeah. Exactly, Sharon. He's got like a Mork kind of vibe to him.
I just don't think Robin Williams has the sleaze factor that Michael Keaton has.
I'm just waiting for him to transition into his Batman. You want to get nuts? Holding the fire poker. I've always wondered what if it was ever made.
Face looks like, yeah.
No, if it was ever made, what the Beetlejuice sequel, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, would have been.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one, Onzi. That's the one.
Cartoon sound effects as well, just adding those layers that would excite a kid. The place is a mess. Oh god, it's just so entertaining.
He really is.
Another one of those moments where we just sit here and watch the film.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, we're halfway through the movie.
Yeah. And the title
in reality
just appeared.
Yeah, in reality, we've probably only got 30, maybe 35 minutes from how long the end credits are for this movie of the character now appearing in this film. But one of the great things about this is how basically he's a bit Jaws in this film. By that I mean when he's not on screen. From now on, now he's been introduced. He's there in the background. He's doing something's happening. But as soon as he's on, he's like boom. He's just explosive. But I think
takes the entire scene.
Yeah, thank you, Edward. Beetlejuice is only in the movie for 17 minutes, but I think that's part of the brilliance of it because you're not overusing him.
It would be too much, like Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah,
put it there too much, and it's a bad film. It's a worse film.
Neil Singh, have you ever seen shrimp like those in your life? I've seen big shrimp, not that big, but I've seen very big shrimp before. I've had big ones.
These chairs, what even are these chairs?
Yeah, Lizard Man. Or they could be what are they called? There is actually I think they're a type of giant shrimp. I think that might be Thai. I've seen before. Sorry, I have to look this up for you because I find it interesting.
James Hellier, I see what you're saying, but I raise you a Christmas Vacation to Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure, or whatever it is. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, unfortunately, Randy Quaid has now in real life become his parody characters.
Yeah. Another scene for cinema history.
Oh, this scene is just so good.
It's amazing. Yeah, jumbo shrimp is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I love it.
Forgive me for the image, but I was posting on Discord. They are.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Or tiny hands, one of the two. That's the secret.
No type of tiger prawns. They are very big. Or tiger shrimp.
I think more family dinners need dance numbers.
There we go. Now, on the subject of shrimp, what is the difference between a shrimp and a prawn? Question for the Discord, question for YouTube. Oh.
Ah, yes. Lovecraftian nightmares. Would you not leave a house that had the seafood, the shellfish attack you?
Yeah, that would worry me. There we go. There's the answer for everybody.
Freshwater, saltwater, smaller, bigger.
There you go. Oh, that's not a good thing, Fraglord. Welcome, Fraglord. And so you joined earlier. Seafood and Gina Davis makes me think of Cutthroat Island.
Oh.
Also, let me just say, how underappreciated is the Gina Davis classic, The Long Kiss Goodnight?
Again, what they've done with the house, the stairs, I love it. I want it to happen in my house. It's never too late to be neurotic.
I like the fact that the door is absolutely insane on the inside.
And normal on the outside. Normal.
No, Sharon, it certainly didn't deserve to get butchered by the critics. It was tremendous.
You want those stairs in your
You've got to appreciate the model work on that is beautiful. It is so lovely.
I'd never have the patience to do it myself, but I always do enjoy it when like a grandpa or someone has a model, like a to scale model.
Yeah, scale models of cities and towns are absolutely beautiful.
They're brilliant. Yeah, if the stairs come with a goblin king as well, that's an added bonus.
How can hang on. So the book must be a real physical item that both the ghosts can read and the non-ghosts who can't see the ghosts can read, because they can see it in the living can see the book as a normal book and handle it.
So they must drop it into reality every time someone does. There should be thousands and millions of copies of those things.
It seems strange, doesn't it? Horror fans saying, I never liked the locked door and then buying the house, but never being up there just annoys me. I guess it's because she was so obsessed, because it wasn't an area of the house that would be on display, and she viewed it as effectively the attic, as much as people would view the crawl space under the house. To her, it's just not important. She views it as beneath her. Well, but I don't mean as in beneath her physically, as in just not worthy of her attention. I think that's the whole point with the mother.
The importance of it went above her head.
Yes. That's some proper nightmare fuel there, isn't it?
Again, I want the texture of these walls. Oof. Oof.
Ow. Yeah, they do. Fraggle saying, this reminds me as I watched Batman Returns the other day. Burton's sets really look like sets. It does look like a set. It doesn't look like a real.
For sure, yeah, definitely looks like sets. The tiling of that floor reminds me of the video game Chips Challenge for some reason. He didn't. He pushed someone down the stairs and threw one else down the hall. The danger noodles.
Thank you.
True, like, chaotic neutral.
Oh, he is. He really, I mean, he's very similar to some incarnations of the Joker, actually touching on his Batman work. Because Beetlejuice just wants to cause chaos and trouble. He doesn't want to.
Even if it screws with him, like these thorns that he grew.
Yeah, Sharon, there's a strip club in the afterlife. Oh, it's Dante's. I thought that was Pante's Inferno.
Ah, From Dusk Till Dawn. If this was a nightclub, this set, I'd love it. The lighting alone, the neon skeletons in the background.
Does that mean that if they died in a bus or plane crash or whatever, does that mean that like Richie Valance and the Big Bopper and Buddy Holly were all up there together at the same time?
For sure.
That's right, the day the music died. Got to admit, those rattan chairs don't look very comfortable.
They rarely are.
They rarely are. Have you ever heard of Herman Miller chairs? Herman Miller office chairs, very expensive. Very high end, very expensive. One of the companies I worked at, we had them in the offices. And they're basically a mesh chair.
Oh, yeah.
Serves
Okay.
as a mesh,
I know what you're talking about now.
It's like sitting your butt on a sieve.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible.
Yeah.
My office in the NHS had one.
That was such an 80s thing. In the 80s or 90s, who had a faux Japanese silk dressing gown?
Well, we know Leslie Nielsen did in Creepshow.
My father brought me one back from Taiwan on a trip there, thinking it's a cool thing to get me. I had two, a red one.
I love how she almost always has a morning veil as well.
Yeah. Wow, Brandon. Is there anyone besides myself here who doesn't like shrimp?
Oof.
I don't know. I don't like fishy fish. I don't like fish at all. But I like shrimp. I like lobster. I like all that kind of stuff. But fish, no.
Loves me. Most things from the ocean.
The Titanic.
Love it. Serve it to me on a dish. Gobble the whole thing. Go back for seconds.
This is a really memorable scene for me as well.
Again, yeah, it's one of those cinematic history scenes.
Oh,
it's so creatively creepy as well.
It is.
And weirdly functional. Like you can see it happening. I've occasionally had lucid dreams, and in my lucid dreams, I have done similar things. I've morphed my body like it's Play-Doh. Mainly my hands more than anything physical, but anything facial. But there's something cute about it, and there shouldn't be that many teeth, which is horrifying, but it's kind of adorable.
You'd think that they would have, in these kind of instances, this department would have their own kind of professionally employed but on-site Beetlejuice for this kind of thing, where there was a violation where it got out of hand and the book had been lost or something.
They sent in the Reclaimers or something.
Yeah. Not the Scottish band, the Proclaimers, who are very much alive.
Send in the Proclaimers. They're the only guys for the job.
They're 500 miles they would walk.
500 more.
Exactly, Sean. This movie is more of a comedy, and it's not a scary one.
Oddly enough, it's probably like what I get from most horror films. Like, I just find myself enjoying it. And this is like raw, concentrated horror fun.
Yeah. Horror fans saying one person would wear silk-looking button-down dragon shirts all the time. I would love to see Beetlejuice open a shopping centre.
Oh, yeah. This might have been like one of the things that I first saw charades in.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't live through the 1800s then?
No, unfortunately not.
Beetle breakfast. That's a name.
You kids and your imagination.
Yeah, the Discord's having a really interesting chat saying about he wants to exploit her innocence, and it's the creepiness of it. I mean, is he looking her? Is he? I don't think there's any kind of with Lydia. There's any kind of love interest or any kind of romance interest or even sexual or anything like that with her. I see it. He wants
just
to exploit her. Yeah, exploit her, and maybe I don't know. Maybe he's looking for a friend in her. Beetlejuice.
I mean, that's kind of the TV shows.
It is really
plot.
You know, is it he wants, because a child can certainly cause chaos, which is he's about. Thank you, Hannah. Saying that the cartoon maybe, along the lines we're saying, looking for some kind of a friend or a...
Turning it on its head. Completely removing any even remotely sinister implications. And honestly, looking back and seeing those things that I watched as a kid, the RoboCop cartoon, the Starship Troopers cartoon, all of that stuff, none of it was scary or like. There was even a Mortal Kombat cartoon that I watched as a kid.
There was I think a couple of them. I don't. So they're saying they're going to invite the now. This is the interesting question here. So they're talking about inviting the Dietzes to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
Whose house is it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it was mentioned earlier that it's their house. They didn't sell it.
No, but I don't know.
They technically aren't even living there, to be fair.
No, I mean the thing is, whose house is it really? Because What if they did have relatives who didn't care and it was sold on their behalf and they just sold it to get the money? I mean, is all haunting in this universe based on property disputes?
More bureaucracy to add to it.
Yeah, more bureaucracy. See, real estates and moving house, it's the root of all evil.
It is.
Exactly, trouncing. The Deets own it. The dead don't own anything, but if they can't leave you stuck living with them, so who is the prisoner in the home? Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Otho is scribbling something with his metal pen on a piece of paper. Oh, it is Filofax, obviously.
Yes.
Look important. How is it that using that handbook, Otho now knows how to perform a sort of a resurrection exorcism type thing? Is it detailed in the book?
It probably is. Like, you need to avoid contact with running water if you're a vampire. And
well, Jessie Price is saying she thought the real estate Jane was their family, but you could be wrong. I think you might be there, unfortunately, Jessie, because I think it was implied she was basically just a nosy neighbour, friendly neighbour. She was a local realtor who just wanted to, who just wanted to sell something.
Really good voice.
It's really nicely done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Neil makes a good point. Neil Whaley on YouTube. Adam and Barbara were nowhere to be seen in the cartoon, and the Dietzes were still living in the house. So when your time in purgatory is up, then there's no further delay, apparently. This is something I really like, this scene. I think the sort of the rebirth of them is kind of quite cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that's superimposing the image on her and then turning it to makeup. It's it's beautiful. A classic example of CG special effects.
Yeah,
coordinated.
Yeah,
pre-CG, but the implications there, it can support rather than replace.
Good point, Fraglord. Any links to the Frighteners? I don't know this. But also, this shows the... right. Jessie first says, I looked at... Oh, Jane was Barbara's cousin, apparently. Thank you. Thank you, Jessie. Every day's a school day. Yeah, I think the Frighteners must have had some inspiration with this. Oh. But it does show that it shows sort of their yuppie-ish consumeristic tendencies of the Dietzes to start with, and then especially through Otho, the whole everything is a commodity, everything is something to be exploited, and they're exploiting the dead here because why not? The infamous suit.
Yep. The suit that inspired a million Halloween costumes.
And cosplays and everything. I think as well, though, the stuff with Otho is he's got this desire to prove and receive praise from the Dietzes,
Yeah, of course.
which is probably just a financial thing from the mother. It's if he makes her feel special and wonderful, he'll, with his stupid things he does.
A lot of people like to feel overly important, even when they're not. Normally, especially when they're not. It's showtime.
I mean, this is some great nightmarish vision, and it is obviously a lot of the production team will have been the same, say similar actors, directors, etc. This reminds me of Batman Returns so much.
Yeah,
this scene with him as the funfair ride stuff. I think it's the circus aesthetic is very similar to sort of the circus gang in Batman Returns.
I need to watch that one again. It's been too long since I watched Batman Returns. Again, there's a certain slime to the way that Keaton does it.
Yeah.
Robin Williams would have been too nice.
But Beetlejuice certainly does seem to have like reality bending powers. He's quite a powerful spirit.
Oh, yeah.
But is it that all ghosts have these kind of powers, but he's just been around long enough now to manipulate them? And they,
Could be.
And Barbara and Dave, and Barbara is just limited to basic stretching her skin and stuff because they don't understand.
Yeah, they're just learning how to do it.
Yeah. I love this bit. That is actually a Cousin Eddie lounge suit, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it's the white shoes as well. Those white shoes he wears. It's basically turns him into Cousin Eddie.
There's something about his scruffy makeup as well. Look at the mold or whatever. I can almost smell it, and it's revolting. A red wedding dress is pretty good aesthetic, actually. Yeah, the moss.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh, wow.
Some lovely stop motion animation.
But this is proper nightmare kind of fuel as well.
I guess this is another 80s movie that uses quite a lot of the tricks in the book.
Yeah.
Because there's so many kinds of special effects that are used here. Hoisted upon their own petards.
Apparently, Sharon's asking how much of Keaton's wants to improvise. Apparently, he improvised a lot of his lines.
Imagine that. You lose all your teeth at once.
No. Lizardman saying, I don't think this is a legal wedding. Well, it depends on which jurisdiction and state it is. I mean, if it's one of the, quite far down south, I guess. Chaos Fear says, Vegas, it's all legal.
No, we have some laws. Like no changing your bets once the chips are down.
Yeah. I used to work with a guy who had a lot of toothaches. He had all his teeth removed, because Fred was just saying about a co-worker who lost all her teeth in a bus accident a few years ago. I worked with a guy who had all his teeth removed because he had a lot of tooth problems. And the worst thing about it was I used to sit next to him in the office when I worked there. And he would eat jam sandwiches with no teeth, or jelly, jam, jelly spread sandwiches, the Americans. And he'd look like a snapping turtle. He'd kind of look at it, line it up there. It was, oh. Yeah. And the worst of it was he actually had a full set of false teeth, but he didn't like wearing them.
That's interesting.
All seems to be resolved fairly amenably between them all, doesn't it? But let's do one of we haven't done one of these for a while. So Miss Fizzle's saying sandworm is more powerful than ghosts, and they're saying worm saves the day. What if those sandworms are the ghosts of the sandworms that are baby ones drowned to make the water of life in Dune? And they're sandworms in the afterlife.
The universe ever expands, doesn't it?
Dune and Beetlejuice together.
As they always should have been.
Yes. Wow, James, you're not a fan of Dune. Are you not a fan of Dune 1984 or the recent Dune?
Or the book itself?
Mm.
If ghosts can wallpaper, Andrew needs to bust out his Ouija board and get them up to help him with the house.
That's right.
So here's a question for everyone then. If you had ghosts rummaging through your house day in, day out, would you try and get a good relationship with them to help you do day-to-day chores? Or would you exorcise them, banish them from your residence? Or does it depend on the ghost?
So they got some kind of a weird situation. They turned the house effectively like into a duplex.
Yeah.
Brandon's saying, I like the house the way it was. Just saying. You can see, though, there's like a divide. Look, literally a straight line between the Dietz's kind of grey wall coating and the more traditional one. James Haley is saying, I can cope with the first miniseries of Dune. Neil Haley is saying, any ghosts in my house would be so bored they would leave of their own accord. Sharon's saying, if I could get the ghosts to clean my house, I'd do it. Heck yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You're living here too. You may as well dust the floor at least once. Such a bastard, isn't he?
Oh yeah. That,
Such
everybody,
fun.
was Beetlejuice. Such a fun film. It moves so fast.
It does. It flew by.
It absolutely just doesn't. Not a bad moment in the film. I can say a dead moment, but I don't think it's the right term. So
I love that
everybody,
Hannah Rose artist. They all lived and died happily ever after.
ever after. Mr. Purcell saying Beetlejuice is resting for his Hawaiian haunting. I don't know, because I don't want them to make a sequel. I really don't. I think it would be trying to catch magic in a bottle, like lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah. If the Ghostbusters couldn't even do it.
Yeah. I seem to be speaking from underwater today, do I? Just my microphone. Apologize. There we go. See if that's better. Okay, so everybody, that was a fantastic watch party for Beetlejuice. I had an amazing time, and as I said earlier, I am going on my vacation or holiday for. Well, I'll be away for 3 watch parties, so I'm leaving Dom in charge. He'll be looking after you, and Dom will be back next week with the Fog, I believe.
The Fog. Yep.
That's right.
Carpenter's The Fog.
I am going for the 3rd time in less than 12 months to Disney World. I will have a fantastic time. I have an annual pass. We need to get the most of it. We need to make the most of it before they expire. Why not? And I can't think of anything better than being in an artificial reality for 2 weeks. But going back to this this movie, got a lot of people saying they can't wait to see The Fog. So I'm going to be sad missing out on that one. We've got a few watch parties you're going to be doing. Should we give a list of everything you're going to be covering, Dom?
Sure. So after The Fog, we have one of my favorite movies of all time, Big Trouble in Little China. So it's a John Carpenter double bill. And then the week following, Andrew is very happy to be away for this one. And I'm very happy to be here for it. It is the Steven Spielberg classic E.T.
Yep, follow E.T. And on my return in 4 weeks' time, we are watching possibly one of the greatest movies ever made, and I'm not understating that. I will let you know in advance what cut of it we'll be watching, but we will be watching Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is just, that's just like one of the, it's an incredible movie. I mean, you're going to have some great times with Dom, but when I come back for Terminator 2, we are going to blow the roof off it, because it's a masterpiece. Not we end up our summer of popcorn, but we have quite a lot of other movies planned for the rest of the year with some really good stuff lined up. In fact, as a special treat, let's see who's been really active today. Hannah Rose, give me a number between 1 and 12, and I will give you that week's watch party, but it has to be higher than 4. So a number between 5 and 12, and I'll tell you what the watch party is, because I'll give you a little sneak preview, so I haven't released the schedule for everyone yet. Number between 5 and 12, please. So let me have a look. No. 7 from Onzi. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if anyone else could come. Hannah, if not Hannah, I'll take Onzi's. Oh, 7. Okay, we're getting 7. So 7 weeks from today, we will be watching Back to the Future Part 3. So that's going to be an amazing time, and I can't wait for that. We've got so much gold lined up for you all this year. We're going to have a great time. So join us here every Sunday. Like I say, Dom will be looking after you. We're going to have a great, fantastic time. Everyone, stay safe, look after each other, be kind, don't punish Dom too much. So
see you next week.
And I'll see you in 3 weeks' time. Bye-bye.